A prelude is an action or event serving as an introduction to something more important. What does that have to do with the Honda Prelude? I have no idea, but we're going to paint this one. That's right guys, in this video, working on an import car. Something you don't see around here a lot. What we have here is a 2001 Honda Prelude. As you can see, it's not in bad shape. She's definitely showing her age. We're rusting through here, probably rusting through down here. You know, not a bad car overall. As you can see, this one's got the VTEC. I have no idea what that means. And it is super excellent. So, I know what that means. And it has dual grapefruit launchers. Just a quick walk around to show you guys what we're doing. Overall, I mean, she's just got wear and tear. You know, decent little car, 5-speed. Fella that owns it really likes this car, wants to keep her around, so we're gonna do a complete tear down and complete paint job on it. So we're gonna get rid of any kind of rust we can find and just give her the best going over we possibly can. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and just start taking this car apart. So bumper covers and moldings and spoiler and handles and mirrors and all of that kind of stuff. And we'll see what we have to work with. Well, it turns out she's kind of souped up. We got a header and we got one of those cold air intakes that effectively gets the hot air from the engine bay to the engine rather than the cold air that normally would go into the airbox. Yeah. I don't understand that either. Very technical. Vegan technology. That's what it is, VTEC. No, that doesn't make sense. I'll figure it out and let you know. Valiant technician. Okay, so I'm going to ask you import car guys a question. So, I've been in auto body since I was 16. So that's 34 years I've been doing this stuff. Mostly in collision repair. So I worked on these cars when they were new all the time. But I have never seen this. I have no idea what the hell this is. It's like some kind of an isolator. It's like spring-loaded roller thing in the bumper. I'm just hoping one of you guys can tell me what that thing is. Let me know in the comments if you have any idea. I have honestly, in all these years, I have never seen that before. Or never paid attention to it enough to notice one. Very strange. Vibration dampener of some sort? I have absolutely no idea. It's definitely rubber isolated and it's like a big solid roller. Anyway, let me know guys if you have any idea. So you just saw me tear that flare off there, guys, or that lower skirt, I guess. Now, in this customer's defense, he does live on a gravel road, I believe. But look at what was inside that skirt. Now, that's no joke. That is a lot of dirt. So this is the kind of thing, this is what rusts your car. So, you know, that stuff's gonna sit in there, stay wet. You know, so far, I think we're still solid. We've definitely got rust in here. I expect we're going to be, well, I know we're going to be rusted through on this corner. Possibly a bit in here, but it seems okay. But I'm going to show you the kind of thing that separates a quickie paint job from, you know, doing a good job is going to be getting this car up in the air and sandblasting this entire rocker. Now, I was poking around at it. It seems to be solid. So hopefully I can get this all sandblasted completely clean, and we'll get it good and epoxy primed, get it sealed up as good as possible. And then we have all these access holes. So I'll be taking all those plugs out, and then I'll be able to get in there with a blowgun with those plugs out and get any debris cleaned out of that inner rocker the best we possibly can. And then the last step after the paint job, something I've showed you guys before, something I always do, I will treat inside that. So basically, once this is all primed, painted, done, I will pump this rocker full of oil until it's pouring out the bottom. So that's going to soak into all those seams and all the inner stuff. But you know, that's what you don't see, you know, typically working on a car. You know, you do a paint job and you have rust come back right away. Well, if you don't take care of this kind of stuff, that is why. So yeah, it's going to be a little more work down there, but quite honestly, I'm pleasantly surprised how solid this is. So far so good. I'm going to carry on. We'll keep ripping her apart. So the Prelude is all torn down, and I've actually just took it over a little while ago, but I took it and pressure washed the crap out of everything. Under the hood, inside the fenders, up underneath the car, in the wheel wells. You know, everything as good as I possibly could, because this car does have a lot of dirt caked in it, and it is nice to just get all that stuff out of there and kind of start fresh. So we'll go over for another quick look. Now, we're not really seeing a whole lot of other issues. You can see better now how, like I was saying, this needs to be all sandblasted and cleaned up underneath. Hopefully we're not going to run into holes or anything, but I think we're going to be okay. Well, actually, as I say that, you can see we are rusting through a bit there. So not surprising, but that's not too big a deal. So we've got that. You know, this area I kind of expected to be rusted through, but it seems like it might be okay. Actually, we have a little bit of a split in the metal right there. But as you can see in here, I'm going to need to clean all the seam sealer out and kind of get all that cleaned up and get some good primer on it, maybe seal it again. And then on this side, so you can see this is actually, well, I can tell it's had some repairs done here before. And then if you, well, you look, you can see all the kind of primer overspray and stuff down here. But so you can see how this is coming down now. So this is kind of all swelling and moving around. So this area is going to need to be cut out as well. Probably kind of something like that. I'll put a piece in. Pretty darn sure. Yeah, it's definitely going to need to be cut out. And then, you know, some, you know, surface rust where the spoiler was on there. That's not surprising. And then what was our worst visible spot is this quarter panel here. So you can see just poking at it. The if you can see that with the inside lip is already gone. But geez, dirt just keeps coming in this car. Just more of the same over here. So it's getting close to the end of the day, so I'm not going to start any cutting or welding or anything like that today. But at least we got it torn down and cleaned up. So in the morning, we'll dig into it a little bit. I'm thinking probably just start with some of this metalwork stuff. This video may be a little sporadic. It's whatever, first week, second week of December, first week of December right now. I actually have this car all winter. The owner is out of the country for the winter, so I've got it until end of March or something. So if the video is a little spotty, that's why, because I'll just be working on it on and off while I have time between other jobs. So here's a little look, everyone, at what you kind of run into on this type of repair. Now, you saw this bit of rust starting, you know, it never really looks that bad, or in this case, you might have thought it didn't look that bad, but this is sort of what you run into. Now, you see, in this case, we've got this glue, or seam sealer, it's all jammed in the back. So you got to make sure all that stuff's out of there, because you don't want it lighting on fire when you start welding. But you can see the inner panel is in worse shape than the outer was. So, you know, the more we go here, it kind of just keeps on going. So, I've just kind of trimmed this out small, but I'm going to have to go up a little more to give myself room to repair this inside panel before we start making a piece for the outside panel. So, just thought I'd bring you in for a look at that, just give you an idea what to expect if you're going to dig into something like this. It's just, yeah, it's never just as easy as cleaning up rust. It's usually cutting and welding and making patches and messing around. So I'm going to carry on with this, and I'll, yeah, as I poke my way along, I'll bring you guys back and show you what's up with it. So here's a quick little check-in for you guys. I'm going to show you what I'm doing on this quarter panel. Now keep in mind, I am an average body man. I don't have all the fancy tools that the guys on TV have, but I'll do my best to make a nice piece for this. So I've cut out a template. I traced the opening from the other side of the car. So we're going to be right around there. So I'm trying to do this one-handed. I'm going to try and set the camera on my knee here. Now I've kind of roughly marked where this brake is, where the wheel lip is. So once we get this kind of cut out to that shape-ish, I'm going to use my plenishing hammer and try to just kind of put that little bit of a seam in there. Now, of course, you can't use a brake for that because it's curved. So once I have that piece cut to fit, now this won't be that big, obviously, I'll cut it down to where I'm right into here, where I can actually butt match it right in there. And then once this piece is made, this lower lip, I'm going to have to cut a strip of metal, and I'll actually just weld that to the bottom. Once we get this outside patch made and fitting to the car, then I'll make the inner. So I just want to make this piece, so then when I make the inner, I'll know kind of what kind of room I have to make the piece in there. So I'm going to start by just cutting this out with a piece of sheet metal, a piece of 18 gauge, and then we'll go from there. So I found a scrap of an old wheel arch panel in my scrap sheet metal bin that actually has this brake, this body line, already in it. I was able to salvage a piece of that it's going to work perfectly for what we're doing. So there's the main piece of our patch. That is going to work well. Now once I've got this trimmed a little more, I will be cutting all of that out so I can kind of butt match that right in there. But right now I want to start making that bottom lip. I'm going to cut that strip of metal and hopefully just weld it to this piece, and I can make this one actual panel that I'm going to be putting on there. And once I've got that all done, I'll be cutting some of this inner out and making a piece in there. And then once this is all welded on top, we'll be able to coat and seal everything inside there to try and make this thing last, hopefully, longer than it did the first time. So here's the patch piece. So I've welded a lip on the bottom, as you can see. Mostly welded it from the inside. It still needs a little bit more trimming, but as you can see, that is going to work well. So we'll be able to weld right along the bottom there. Then I'm going to go ahead and make a little piece for the inner. So now I'm sure there are guys with a lot more tools and talent than I have that could have made this out of one piece. Shaped it all and everything. Like some guys are absolutely amazing at metalwork. Like I said, pretty average guy here, so I am quite happy with that. I think it's going to work well. So I'm going to carry on. I'm going to make a little piece for that inner. Then I'm going to get this sucker welded in place. And then we'll be doing the whole thing over again on the other side. So moving along here a little bit on the quarter panel. So I've got an inner panel kind of just tacked in place that I made. It's not beautiful, but no one's going to see it. And now I've gone ahead and stuck the rear bumper cover back on. Now, of course, I'm always trying to do this stuff one-handed. I'm going to set the camera down there. Hopefully you guys can see. So I've got everything kind of lined up. We need to be super sure that our bumper cover is going to line up with our new panel. So I did actually, as happy as I was with the panel I made, I ended up having to slide it forward, I don't know, 1/4 inch to get it to line up properly with the end of the bumper cover here. So I've made a new mark on the panel where this panel is going to live. So I think we're good there. I am going to finish up this little inner panel I made. I still need to kind of shape it a little bit. Get that welded. I'll put some primer on it. I'll probably put some seam sealer on it. And then we'll start putting our outer panel on. So here's our patch kind of fitted up. Just sitting on there with a couple of magnets right now. It's not perfectly in place, but that's just to kind of give you an idea how it fits. I'm pretty happy with that. That's going to work well. So now, of course, if you're doing this kind of work, there's always lots to consider. There is the inside of the car, which you don't want to catch on fire. Obviously, we're welding right beside a fuel door. So you always want to make sure, now see in this case, it is kind of separated. So it is shielded from what we're doing, but still extra careful there. Now, of course, our patch is right inside there, so we don't want sparks and crap that could come into this trunk, catching stuff on fire in here. So make sure you consider all of those things before doing any welding. Obviously, I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to cover up that inside, and I will be keeping a really close eye on things as I, weld a little bit, cool, check everything. I usually like to just tape around these fuel doors, just in case there's vapors or something that, could be coming out. Just whatever extra little stuff you can do, just be extra careful. So I'm going to go ahead and start tacking this patch into place. And then, I'll probably bring you guys back for one last look once I've got it welded up and ground down. And then I'll tackle the other side. So there's one patch done, welded up, ground down, ready for body work. Not super pretty. I probably don't need to tell anyone this, but the metal on these cars it's not real thick. It's tricky to weld. So, you're not really burning it in and getting this nice super flush weld. You've got to really take your time and kind of spot and until it's all done. And then lots of seam sealer and stuff that I wasn't able to get out of there, so it was tricky. But anyway, I am happy with it nonetheless. Like I say, not the most beautiful one, but the patch fits nice. It's good and solid. So it's pretty much the end of the day on Friday. I think I'm just going to spend the rest of the day tidying up, have a beer, and we'll get back to this car next week. Hopefully the other quarter panel won't take as long as this one did. Honestly, this took way longer than it should have, but what do you do? That's the job I chose. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call it a day for now. We'll see you next week. Well, there's one side sandblasted. I'll bring you guys in there and show you how the sandblaster reveals all. So we had some rust around the spoiler. It's all holes, so she's all rusted through there. Fortunately, this is all covered up by the spoiler, makes it for a bit of an easier repair. This side we look okay here, but then you get under here, we're rusted through, we're rusted through, we're rusted through. We come down to this corner, we are rusted through. Come down to the rocker, and yeah, she is pretty much Swiss cheese, which again, this stuff is all covered by that plastic side skirt piece, which makes, I mean, at least in areas like this, the repairs don't have to be finished as nice, so they don't take as long, but it's still a bunch of work. So, yeah, we're separating here because there's, oh boy, it's better and better. Anyway, I'm going to refill the sandblaster. Yeah, you can see we had a lot of pitting all through here. I didn't show you guys, but I got under here with a wire wheel on my grinder first and took off as much seam sealer and stuff as I possibly could, because sandblaster doesn't like to take that stuff off. But yeah, that gives you an idea of what you run into with this stuff, even when something looks nice and clean, or looks reasonably clean. So I'm going to refill the blaster and do the other side and get this thing back inside. And I'll probably grab my little spray can of primer now with stuff like this, because obviously it's damp, it's cold out here, this stuff will flash rust. You know, where it's holes, it doesn't really matter, I'm going to cut it out. But the other stuff, you don't want it flash rust and getting rust back in those pits. So I'll just hit them with a little aerosol primer just to seal it up until it's actually back in the shop and fixed. So anyway, keep you guys posted. Well, it's the next day. As you can see, I'm back under the car. So we took this outside and sandblasted it yesterday. So I kind of showed you outside. So this stuff, I mean, that's just flat panels, pretty basic. I cut out a little cardboard template. I already primed the inside, so I'm just kind of making the patch for here. Just got a little bit more trimming to do on that. Now, of course, this side wasn't too bad. I'd already welded up the quarter panel on this side. So I've moved on to the passenger side of the car a little bit here, guys. So, get the camera somewhere. So I started making this panel for underneath the rocker. Now, I'm not really taking you guys along on the making of sheet metal, because I just have some really basic sheet metal tools and, quite honestly, limited skills as far as this stuff goes, but I can make basic stuff. But I want to show you what I did on this one. So I was able to shape this piece, and then I put this in my sheet metal brake and made that first bend up this way, but then I can't bend it the other way with the brake. So what I did is I actually clamped a piece of flat steel along there and just scribed a little bit of a line in the sheet metal with a zip cut, and then put that in the vise to bend that over to make the second bend in that shape. So maybe I should have brought that along, because that's basic stuff for, you know, guys that don't have a lot of tools like myself. But so you can see we have a little more trimming to do, but you can see that panel's going to fit quite nicely in there. So I've bent it a little bit to this shape, and then I've put this, like I was showing you, I put this brake in for this piece, and then when I make a piece for the top, it'll be spot welded along this, just like it was from the factory. So you can see where these spot welds are. So I'll be trimming that off yet, but that kind of shows you. That piece will be there. I'll get it all welded in, and then I will make the top piece to match up to it. Probably what I'll do is I'll just work my way up. I'll get that guy tacked in. I'll probably cut this piece out and start making that, get that welded in, and then I'll move up to this piece, which I'll try and again make in one piece there with the fold around the back. So, hope that makes sense. Yeah, just overcome each obstacle as it comes, just one thing at a time, and it's just a little less overwhelming that way. So I'm going to get some primer on the back side of this, get it tacked in place, and start working on the next piece. So here's another little check-in on the right side of the car. So I have put the panel in underneath, and then I made this panel in here. So it just welded all the way along to the existing panel, and then it is plug welded to the new panel I made, just like it was for the factory. So this is all super solid. This is the factory jack point here. This is all still really solid. So now moving on to this part here that was rusted out. Now I did actually just cut a little window in there for when I was welding the bottom, just so I could ensure there was no insulation or anything inside here and we're good for welding. Now I've gone ahead and made this little piece. Still needs trimming, but I've got the basic shape that I want. This is mostly just a piece of cardboard. And there was my piece I cut out. In the vise with a body hammer just to make the bends. This one here, so it's nice and sharp, I scribed it a little bit with a cutoff wheel just so it bends a little nicer. So it is going to be basically right here. So I'm going to clamp this in place and cut out the factory sheet metal so that we're going to be butting this one right into place with the original sheet metal. We're not going to be overlapping anything. And yeah, that'll be pretty much it for the welding on this side. Well, other than up here. I still need to rebuild this as well. But I'm going to go ahead and get that clamped on and trimmed out and hopefully get this welded into place here too. So there's a patch welded in, ground down. Just gonna move on and do this bit here, and that should be the last of the welding on this car, I hope. Oh, a little bit on the deck lid, but that's minor. So I'm gonna carry on with that. Start getting some body work on this spot, and then I'll just kind of carry on with some prep work. Well, I've moved ahead a little bit here, everyone. I'm gonna show you what I've done. Figured, well, I've got the car nice and up in the air like this. I went ahead and I put 2 good coats of epoxy primer on the bottom of our rocker panels. And also kind of up into the wheel wells where I've had to cap off the end of these rockers and do a little bit of repair there. And then I finished everything off with this, actually a really cool product, this Dominion Sure Seal silver rock guard. So now this car had, everything was done in silver. It didn't have like black wheel wells, so it was all silver before. So I figured this was a good fit for that. So I've coated all my repairs up in there, up in the back here where I put that patch in. I've got it all sealed up and coated with that silver rock guard. And yeah, a couple coats on the rockers, which again, this is all covered by that side cladding once it's all put back together. But yeah, just thought I'd show you that. That was kind of cool. You know, this usually will come in black or tan, but this silver worked really well. It was perfect for this application. And just so you know, not sponsored or anything, just showing you guys what I use. I've always been I've always had really good luck with Dominion Sure Seal products. That's good stuff for sure. So I'm going to move on back onto the outside of the car. I think what I'm going to do now, I'm going to basically jump around, mark any of these small little dents, go ahead and get those fixed up. Now I was working on getting this had that like the 3M clear plastic on the front. But now I've taken that stuff off plenty of times before. Usually just a little heat, peel it off, piece of cake. But this stuff, different technology, I guess. I bet you that's been on there since new. Because this car is original paint everywhere I've touched it. So, you know, that's 22 years old. I tried heating it, I tried different stuff, and it was just turned into mush, and I ended up having to use lacquer thinner and a scraper, and just made a huge mess, but I'm still not done with it. But anyway, minor thing. So I'm going to carry on, and I'll kind of bring you guys back as I make progress. Well, here we are messed up for primer. So, of everything involved in getting a car up to this point, this is my personal least favorite part. I absolutely hate masking. It just takes forever, especially to do a good job. I'm a little fussy with it. I don't like overspray on things, or, you know, wheel wells and suspension and, you know, stuff that didn't have paint, shouldn't have paint. But that is where she is at. So basically from this point I will be giving it a coat or two of epoxy primer just over any bare metal. And then usually I'll go around and hit the bodywork areas with a coat of high build primer, and then 2 more coats over kind of everything. So that's where I'm at. I've got the paint mixer going right now. I'm gonna go mix up some primer and get to spraying. Morning, everybody. Well, it's super early. The shop's still warming up. I thought I'd take you around for a quick look. So I got the main body of the car in primer yesterday. So I think, kind of like I said, basically what I did with this, I gave it 1 coat of high build over all the bodywork areas, and then the second coat of high build kind of extending over all the burn throughs and stuff, and then the third coat of high build primer just kind of over everything. So this can now sit. No hurry to prep it. And I figured I will move on to some of the plastic pieces. So I'm going to start by stripping down these bumper covers and start getting those sanded. And then of course on cars like this there's always all the other pieces as well. So in this case we've got bumpers, we've got spoiler, mirrors, and door handles are all body color. So with the more modern cars like this, you've got to paint all that stuff as well on a paint job. Not like a classic car like I usually work on, where all that stuff is chrome. So I'm going to get started on this. It's Friday today, so this is where the video might get a little choppy. I plan on actually just working on this for the rest of the day, and then next week I'm going to hopefully be on the 52 sedan delivery, start getting the metal work done on that. So I'll be bouncing around a little bit. We're in the last week before Christmas. Not that it means much when you're self-employed, but when I get into the new year, I'm kind of back to weekly work booked every week until, well, at this point, I think I'm booked all the way till March, but April actually. But that's fine. I always have a little time to work on this big stuff in between. So I'm going to start on these bumper covers and go from there. I'm jumping ahead on the bumper covers a little bit. I've got the front bumper cover all sanded. And I was just going to show you guys a couple things now on the rear bumper cover. Now, when it comes to sanding, now you can see this, I know this left rear corner and this rear bumper cover had been painted before. But you see what happens if you don't get fussy with your sanding. It's always going to let go in areas like this. So when this was done, they probably just didn't get in there and sand well. And that's not uncommon. You can see this corner starting to go too. You know, honestly kind of typical of collision shops where they're not that concerned about longevity of repair. It's more about getting it out the door. So we've got that, and then I was going to show you these two. So when you run into these are like a soft foil back kind of emblem. Now these are not salvageable. Even if you're like super careful with these, because they're foil back, once you get them off, they're all buggered anyway. I've never ever, if it's like a brand new vehicle or a recently built vehicle, you might be able to save these, but you know, these have been on here for 22 years. They're junk at this point, so just a little thing. There's that, and then yeah, pretty straightforward. I'll kind of show you guys my way of doing these plastic bumper covers when I get to it here shortly. But I usually find that with these, I will just sand them nice and smooth with a 240 and then a 320 grit. And from there, you can usually just seal and paint these covers if there's no real damage. There's just not a lot of point in coating these in high build and sanding them again. They are, especially on the front in this country, they're you know, something that takes a lot of abuse. They take a lot of rock damage. So, I mean, it's one thing if you're going for full-on kind of show car finish, but for what I'm doing here, I'll show you how I do it and I'll show you how it turns out, and you will not see any of that. Okay, actually I'm back already. I was just gonna show you guys another reference of this stuff, so you can see, you know, this wasn't sanded in here. Again, not uncommon, but to me that's shitty workmanship. I don't like stuff like that. So you can see on this bumper that I've already sanded, see, I made a point of sanding all in there, so whatever paint hits in there, it's gonna stick. Now, you don't see this when the car is together, but you might start seeing stuff flaking out in between. You know, this could come up over the edge and start flaking. You know, it's best just, you know, it's an extra couple of minutes, you know, to run a piece of sandpaper through these edges so that your paint's gonna stick. So just take that extra little bit of time, guys. If you're tackling this yourself, you know, it's not a big deal to spend a little extra time and do it right. So here we are, a bunch of parts set up for paint. Sometimes this kind of stuff you have to get a little creative. So we've got all the randoms. I think that's everything for this car other than the body itself. So the way I've prepped these up, the bumper covers will both get a good coat of urethane sealer, and then base coat and clear coat. The other parts are just prepped for paint. They don't even need sealer. They were clean, no damage or anything, so they'll just get a couple of coats of paint and a couple of coats clear. So I'm gonna get going on this and I'll show you guys when they're done. Well, that was a pretty successful week on the Honda Prelude project. So I managed to get this batch of parts painted today. And there's our, yeah, bumper covers, handles, mirrors, the rear spoiler. And yeah, I got the car and primers, so that's good. So it's the end of the day Friday. Probably not going to work on the Prelude for a little bit. I'm going to work on a different job next week. But I'm going to keep this video going. I don't want to end it because then you won't get a finished car at the end. So anyway, guys, I hope you've made it this far. And I will see you right back here as soon as I'm back on that car. Morning, everybody. Back on the Prelude this morning. Actually Saturday today. I usually take Saturday and Sunday off when I can, but got some good momentum going on this job, even though I have it all winter and it's still only well, a week away from Christmas or whatever. I find if I leave these things till the last minute, they're tough to get done. So while I have the time, I'm going to keep kind of forging ahead on this job. So I'm going to start with the prep work. Now again, I'm not going to record a lot of this stuff, guys. If this is the kind of stuff you want to see, let me know. I'll do my best to show it to you. I just find trying to make these videos, if I'm trying to record every step of doing the work, it's hard to make them into a watchable time, if that makes sense. So I'm going to just kind of periodically bring you guys back and show you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But yeah, I'm just going to start try and get a few hours of prep work in on this today. It just gives me a jump start on next week. And yeah, I'll keep you posted. Well, here's a little end of the day check-in. It's only about 3 o'clock, but I've had enough for a Saturday. So actually good progress again today on this job. I got about, probably about 2/3 of the prepping done. I basically just have the roof to finish up and the quarter panels. Now the quarters are going to need the most attention with the block sanding and making sure they're perfect, because those are where I did the bulk of the bodywork on the car. But I figured that's enough for today. I'm going to go relax for a bit, and then once my wife gets home from work, her and I are going to a fondue party tonight. So wish me luck. I don't know anything about martial arts, so it'll be a new one for me. See you guys next week. Well guys, back on the Prelude. So, I know I said I was going to take a break from this for a while, but it's actually only been a few days. It's actually just after Christmas. I decided just to kind of finish this up over the Christmas holidays kind of thing. Holidays for some people, I guess. So I have gone ahead and finished all the prepping on the car. So at this point it is ready to put in the booth and mask up for paint. So I'm going to go ahead and do that today. So yeah, by the end of the day, this car should be painted. What do you think, Louie? So here she is, all washed down and masked up, ready to paint. So I just need to run a tack cloth over it. I'll go mix up a little paint, get it in the gun, and let's get started. And just like that, that car is painted. We'll have one little sneak peek. We'll have a better look at it later on. Well, I was going to wait until tomorrow to show you guys the Prelude. I figured we'll go do a real quick walk around. So, as always, keep in mind I paint in a homemade paint booth, obviously. But stuff usually comes out pretty good. This one is pretty darn clean, actually. It's not bad at all. Now, I do always have to do some sanding and polishing, especially on the flat surfaces. If you look across the hood, there's definitely a few dust nibs, but really nothing major. We'll take a quick wet sand and a polish, and it'll be good. But overall, I am super happy with the car. Paint went on good, clear went on good. Our repair areas look good. So in the morning we'll get it masked up, get it out of here, and yeah, maybe I'll start doing some assembly on it. everybody. There's our Prelude project all finished up. So I should have looked back at my editing. I don't remember exactly where we were at last time I filmed on this. I know it wasn't finished, but here it is all finished up. It's had a quick wash. So it's the first week of February now, so I think it's probably been at least a month since I filmed on it. So, since you saw it, obviously it's all finished up, painted, put together. I think my customer's still out of town for another month or so, or out of the country for another month or so before it gets picked up. So I didn't spend a lot of time detailing it. It's probably going to go out in the lean-to for the next few weeks, and then I'll bring it back in and give it a good cleaning before it goes home to the customer. But hopefully, guys, that little video kind of gives you an idea, as always, kind of what's involved in a project like this. You know, the kind of work that's involved in doing a complete paint job. You know, there's always more to it than you expect. And it always takes a little extra work to get, to do a good job. Now, like I always say in these videos, I am not saying that I am great at anything. I am just a guy that makes a living doing auto body. So, just sharing what I do, not by any means saying that anything I do is the way it has to be done. Just sharing the way I do things, and these videos work out well for a little bit of entertainment for you guys and for my customers, of course, to see their cars getting done. So, as always, guys, I want to thank you for watching. Leave a comment on the video. If you haven't already, push subscribe, because it's free this week. Okay, guys. Hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you next time.